Hello and welcome to this video on using Mplus to analyze missing data patterns through full information maximum likelihood. My name is Geiser. I'm an instructor with QuantFish. In this video, I'm going to show you two different ways in which you can analyze missing data patterns in your data using full information maximum likelihood, or FIML, in the Mplus software. So let's get started with option number one. So option number one is a so-called basic analysis, which allows you to look at descriptive statistics of your variables and also analyze missing data patterns without specifying a specific model. So this can be a good first step in an analysis before you run any kind of model. If you just want the information about missing data and full information maximum likelihood generated descriptive statistics, then you can use that option. And then the second option, as we will see, is to run a specific model, for example, a path analysis or a regression analysis or a structural equation model. And then with this analysis, you can get the same information as well, and we'll see how that works. So let's get started with the basic analysis. And so here you can see my Mplus syntax for such an analysis. In this case, I'm using a data file that is called missing.dat. In this data file, I have four variables, x1, y1, and then x2 and y2. And for the sake of this example, we may assume that x1 and y1 are two variables that are measured at time point 1, and then x2 and y2 are the same variables measured at a second time point, so that we might be able, for example, interested in specifying a longitudinal path analysis or cross-legged panel model. So in this first input, we're only going to take a look at the missing data information using a basic analysis. You can see for all variables, the missing value code is 999, which means that whenever Mplus encounters this value of 999 for any of those four variables in the dataset, it will recognize or treat this as a missing score, and so Mplus then knows that's the missing value code or missing value flag. Very important, this needs to be specified, otherwise Mplus will not know which values are missing. Next, I specified analysis type equals basic, and so this is an analysis that allows us to generate descriptive statistics and also to look at the missing data situation. What are the missing data patterns? How frequently did they occur? What is the covariance coverage? And then that way we can look at that information and we can generate descriptive statistics using FIML. So let's run this syntax and let's take a look at what the Mplus output provides us with for such an analysis. Here you can see the output for this basic analysis. You can see, first of all, Mplus reproduces our input commands, and then we can check that the input reading terminated normally, which here was the case. You can see in this data set we have 300 observations, and that includes cases with missing scores. We have four dependent variables that we're looking at, x1, y1, x2, and y2. Mplus uses maximum likelihood estimation here because these variables by default are treated as continuous variables, and whenever you have continuous dependent variables, Mplus will use maximum likelihood estimation. And so then when we scroll down, we can see in the summary of data that 3 missing data patterns were found in this data set, and the specific missing data patterns are then listed under summary of missing data patterns. Here, an X means data is not missing. And so let's walk through the missing data patterns that were observed here so that we can understand this better. You can see the four variables are listed here in the first column. And then we have missing data pattern number 1. Missing data pattern number 1 is one with all x's for all four variables. This means missing data pattern number 1 is a complete data pattern. So those are the individuals who had data for all four variables, no missing scores. The second pattern is one where data was present for x1 and y1, but not for x2 and y2. You can see there are no x's here for x2 and y2. So this is a missing data pattern where individuals had data only at time 1, but not at time 2. And then finally, we have a missing data pattern number 3 here, where data was missing at time 1, but was present at time 2 for both variables. And of course, there could be other patterns in theory, but here those were the only 3 patterns that were observed in this data file. Not only does Mplus give us those patterns, but it also tells us how frequently each pattern was observed under missing data pattern frequencies. And so here we can see that pattern number 1, which is the complete data pattern, was observed for 72 individuals. So that was a minority here. The minority of a minority of 72 out of 300 cases had complete data here. So less than a third of cases had data for all 4 variables. Pattern number 2, where individuals had data only for the time 1 variables, was observed for 121 individuals. So that was a larger group. And then also pattern number 3 was also a larger group with 107 people who had data only at time 2. So about a third of cases had data only at time 2, a little over a third of cases had data only at time 1, and less than a third had complete data here. So this allows you to analyze those missing data patterns. So then you can, for example, see if there's anything that is specific, if there are any specific variables that individuals did not respond to, which could be a problem, or a specific time point that doesn't have a lot of data, and so on. Next in Mplus is the covariance coverage. What is covariance coverage? Covariance coverage means the proportion of data present for each variance and covariance in this set of 4 variables. With 4 variables, we have 4 variances, obviously, because each variable has a variance. And we have 6 covariances. So those are the covariances of each variable with each other variable. And so this is what you find here in the covariance coverage matrix. In a covariance matrix, we have variances in the diagonal. So for example, right here, and right here, and right here, and right here. So those are variances. Why? Because the covariance of a variable with itself, which you would find in the diagonal of the matrix, is equal to that variable's variance. So that's a general rule. The covariance of a variable with itself is equal to that variable's variance. Therefore, in any covariance matrix, you have variances represented in the diagonal of the matrix. And then off diagonal, you have the 6 covariances. Now, here, those values are not variances and covariances, mind you, that's important. So those are not the observed data variances and covariances, but rather this is the covariance coverage, meaning those are proportions that show you the proportion of cases that was available in order to estimate each variance and covariance. And then we will see that we get the actual full information maximum likelihood estimated variances and covariances further down below under the results for basic analysis. So let's go through this and let me explain what exactly these values here mean. So you can see that the variance of x1, which we find here as the first value on the diagonal of the matrix, this variance was estimated based on 64.3% of cases. So those were the cases who either had pattern number 1, complete data, or had pattern number 2, where they had data also for time 1, so for x1. So those two groups taken together, so 121 plus 72, those total of 193 cases, those had data, 193 cases out of 300 had data for x1 and therefore could be used to estimate the x1 variance. And that's why we get 64.3%. So that's 193 out of 300 cases. And then likewise, we can see that for the y2 variance, it's the same proportion, 64.3%, because that's the same two groups. So those are again the groups that had data for y1 and therefore also to estimate the y1 variance. And the same for the covariance between x1 and y1, same proportion. Now, you can see that we have fewer proportions for x2 and y2 for their variances, here again on the diagonal, and their covariance, 59.7%. So why is this coverage here lower? Why did fewer cases provide data for the time 2 variables? That's because for the time 2 variables, we can again use the complete data pattern, so those individuals that had complete data, 72, and we can use the people who had pattern number 3, where they had data only at time 2, so it's 72 plus 107 is 179 cases, so that's fewer cases than the 193 cases which were available for time 1 data. That makes sense. So therefore we have lower coverage of the variances and covariances for time 2. Now the lowest coverage here is found for the across time covariances between the time 1 variables and the time 2 variables, which you find here. So those 4 covariances that have a coverage of only 24%, those are the ones that are between variables at different time points. And obviously for those, we can only use the 72 cases that have complete data, because those are the only cases that provide information on the relationship between the time 1 and the time 2 variables. And so 72 divided by 300 gives you the 24 here, the 24%. So therefore the coverage is pretty low for the covariances across time. Now this need not be a problem necessarily. It could lower your power, but as long as the data are missing at random, you can still use FIML without bias to estimate a model across time for those for those 4 variables. So then next are the estimated sample statistics based on FIML. So now Mplus used those data, those cases that were available here based on this covariance coverage to estimate the actual sample statistics. First are the means. Next are the covariances. So this is the actual covariance matrix with the estimated variances for the variables on the diagonal. So you can see they had variances that were close to 1, all variables here. And then the covariances are off diagonal. So those are the covariances. And they're estimated using FIML, full information maximum likelihood, including all cases, even those that only have partial data. And then next is the correlation matrix, which is easier to interpret. You can see there were substantial correlations here between those variables. And then below that, we have univariate sample statistics for the different cases. You can see not all of these are based on, or actually none of these are based on 300 cases, because they're univariate statistics. So they can only use the cases that have data available for those. So here you can see them. Mean variance, skewness, kurtosis, minimum, maximum, and other statistics. And so that's all you get from a basic analysis. It gives you the missing data patterns, it gives you the pattern frequencies, it gives you the covariance coverage, and then it gives you bivariate and univariate sample statistics. Now, you can get this same information also when you already specify a specific model. And so I want to show you that as well. So here I have an input file prepared for a longitudinal path analysis with these 4 variables. So again, we have our 4 variables here. Missing data values are coded 999. And now we're using type equals general rather than type equals basic. So now we're actually specifying a model. And so the model here is a cross-legged panel model where we regress both x2 and y2 on x1 and y1. So it's a longitudinal path model, which we also call here a cross-legged panel model because we have the autoregressive effects in there, and we also have cross-legged effects from one variable onto the other across time. I also mentioned the x1 and y1 variances here explicitly by just simply writing down x1 and y1 with a semicolon. And so that brings those variables into the model so that Mplus will also use cases that have missing data at time 1. Otherwise, Mplus would exclude those. So this then uses all the information in the data to estimate the parameters of this longitudinal path model. I requested sample statistics so that we would again obtain means, covariances, correlations, and also univariate descriptive statistics. stdyx allows us to print the completely standardized solution, and then patterns is the command that allows us to look at missing data patterns and pattern frequencies in the same way as does a basic analysis in Mplus. So let's run this input file as well. Let's take a look at the output real quick. You will see it's very similar in terms of what we got with the basic analysis. Again, we have 300 cases, and we're using maximum likelihood estimation with missing data. You can see the missing data patterns are listed again in the same way as before, with the summary of missing data patterns, the missing data pattern frequencies, and then the covariance coverage. That's all exactly the same as what we saw in the basic analysis. Next are the sample statistics that are estimated using FIML. We've already seen those as well. And then univariate descriptive statistics. And then we get the model results, including fit statistics. Here this model is saturated, so it has 0 degrees of freedom, and the fit statistics here aren't meaningful. And then you get your parameter estimates down below. The path coefficients here for the cross-legged panel model are provided with standard errors, z-statistics, and p-values. You get the covariances between the time 1 and time 2 variables. Here the time 2 is actually the residual correlation between the error terms of the time 2 dependent variables. And then means are in the model, intercepts are in the model, variances are in the model, as well as error variances for the time 2 variables. And then below that you get the standardized path coefficients and other standardized model results, including the R-squared values. So this is how you can analyze missing data patterns with full information maximum likelihood in Mplus, how you can generate descriptive statistics using FIML, and then also how you can specify an actual model with missing data and using full information maximum likelihood with those missing scores. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian Geiser, and I'll see you in the next video.